Check, check. Check, check, check. All right. Just making sure everything's going on. You guys are looking at a static screen in the meantime. Just making sure everything is running the way it's supposed to. All right. Live on YouTube, live on Periscope, live on Kickstarter. Check, right, check, check. Echo there. Let me try and find where that's at. Give me a quick second, guys. There it is. Just making. All right. All right, so the thing is making sure all this stuff is set up right. So my CPU is kind of my bottleneck, but for the hell of it, let's go ahead and start up. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me change the scene here. What's up, everybody? My name is JC, of course. I am the creative director of Ask an Enemy Studios. And this is the Kickstarter for a dual hand disaster Trackher. It is a split-screen, single-player, twin-stick risk-em-up. It's a game I've been working on for about 2.5 years, somewhat. Let's see. And yeah, so I basically dropped out of school to make this game. It was a complete waste of time, in my experience. So I essentially just wanted to do my thing and start working on this. Hey, what's up, Armani? Cool, man. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions, man, and I'm always open for anything, so feel free to ask whatever you need to. I just kind of want to let you guys know what this whole game is about, why I decided to do Kickstarter, talk about some of the stuff I've been doing, you know, over the last couple years, the shows I've been to. Obviously, there's some people in the chat that have seen the game at events. So I'm going to cut down on some of these window tabs here just to let me know if the audio sounds all right and if the video looks good. Just want to make sure that you guys have a good experience. I kind of don't want it to be all jacked. And it's a good test because so Kickstarter lets you do this directly to the Kickstarter page, which I think is phenomenal. It's awesome, especially for game developers. If you're going to be working on a game, you obviously want to interact with the people that are helping you fund the game for whatever reason, right? So I want to make sure that you guys can ask questions and there's not like a super long delay. This is the first time I do it here on Kickstarter, so I just want to make sure. Awesome. All right, well, if it's good on YouTube, it's got to be good on everything else. So yeah, I'm using Restream. Restream is actually this really cool program that lets you basically use XSplit to stream to their like service or whatever, and then on Restream they broadcast it out to all the other services that you sign up for. So yeah, so this weekend I was at EVO. EVO was pretty fucking cool. I'd always wanted to go as a kid. Granted, I wasn't that young. I was maybe about like 15, I think, when it first started. But if you guys are at all familiar with EVO, EVO is basically this really huge like fighting game championship kind of thing. And yeah, one of the things that has stuck out in, you know, in my history with that event for the longest time is that competition between Daigo and what's his name? I want to say it was Justin Wong. I could be wrong, but that's the one thing you remember for sure is the fight. It was basically Chun-Li against Ryu, or Ken actually, I think. And you know, Daigo just pulls off this crazy ass parry, and with a sliver of health, pulls off a complete parry, then ends up doing the super on Justin. So yeah, it's awesome. This year, like being able to go in person is actually really cool. So yeah, it's, you know, a lot of people tend to think it's kind of like a fighting game, like watching a fighting game like if it were a boxing thing or something is pretty dumb, but whatever. Yeah, let's see. So in terms of Evo, in terms of the game, well, let me give you guys a little bit more of a background. So for any of you who are watching here on the archive, a dual hand disaster tracker is a split screen single player twin stick risk bump. Basically, in most score-based games, the gameplay loop tends to be that you go and you die, and you keep your score. In a dual hand disaster tracker, if you die, you lose everything. You lose your score, you lose your leaderboard position, and you have to decide when to keep your score. So you have to leave the level with your score. You know, at like face value, it's essentially the easiest way to describe it to people is like, imagine playing Pac-Man on the left-hand side, or I'm sorry, like Galaga or Space Invaders on the left-hand side, and then you play Pac-Man on the right-hand side. So you're destroying enemies on the left. You basically destroy the left to earn your points, and you recover resources on the right to help you multiply the points that you're earning on the left. So at these events, and this is the really cool part, is like when you go to Evo, you get a lot of people who essentially want to find a way to cheese the system, right? So they will try to basically not focus on the left and then maybe do things only on the right. And they end up learning the hard way that that's not really the best way to play the game. But there's so, like I always say, like the devil's in the details. So it's all about, yeah, it's all about just making sure that you know all about the, taking advantage of all the mechanics and stuff. So while you're killing enemies, you're recovering resources, and while you're on a resource, you get a window of time, which I'm actually, based on some feedback I got this weekend from just watching people play, I'm gonna mess with that just a little bit more. So for those of you who have played it, don't get too comfortable. Give me a quick second, guys. I'm actually going to put the live stream up here on Facebook so that I can share it. Give me a quick second. And yeah, give me a sec. I just want to make sure that anyone who is in the stream can watch. How have you been, buddy? What's going on, man? All right, cool. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and let me get this version started. I want to show you guys the latest update. So at Evo, there was a bug at the very beginning that actually kept the game from, there's a marker at the very beginning that's supposed to point you to where you're supposed to go. And it wasn't working, so I got that fixed. And let's see here. Not sure I made a build in 309. Okay, yeah. Let me build up the... Let me make a build real quick. But yeah, at Evo, I'm waiting for this thing to build here. At Evo, the first day was a little slow. I mean, there were a lot of people, but I think it was the beginning of getting used to, you know, since it's Evo, it's about Street Fighter, it's about you know, fighting games and stuff like Smash Brothers. So most people have somewhere to be, somewhere to go. They have pools they need to get through to get selected or whatever. So yeah, some of the people that were kind of walking through would kind of just run right through, you know, play it for a couple seconds and then take off. By the second day, which is essentially by Saturday, people were actually stopping by and like playing it more and more and more. And that's where I was able to test, because I always do the best when there's a continuous flow of people. Like, I do not mind if I lose my voice just talking to these people about the design and blah blah blah. But it keeps your energy up, because you just have to stay on point. You have to keep talking to these people, make sure they're you know, playing the game and understanding everything more than anything. So let me go ahead and get this going here. So yeah, for any of you that have just jumped in, this is the Kickstarter Live for a dual hand disaster tracker, which is a game I'm working on. If you guys would like to check it out, you can go to Kickstarter.com, of course, and type in a dual hand disaster tracker, or you can actually just type in Ask an Enemy Studios. That should take you directly to the page. Let me get this built here. Yeah, sorry guys, Unity is being a little picky today. Okay. This is going to be version 0.9.3.0.10. Oh, dang it. That's the thing, when you have multiple computers in front of you, you forget which one you're controlling. So version 0.9.3.0.10. Okay. And queue up your questions if you have any questions about the game. I got to change the version, so I just want to make sure this is updated. 10. All right. Let's build this sucker. All right. So, yeah, so Evo, again, was really cool. The second day was a lot better. Oh, yeah, so I wanted to talk to you guys about the reward tiers. So, obviously, there's a whole bunch of tiers. Oh, yeah, dude, since PAX East, there's been a shit ton of changes. So, I can't remember exactly what build was there, but a lot of this stuff is also just changes I've made to the underlying code. So a lot of this stuff is stuff that you won't necessarily instantly see, but it is stuff that, like some small changes to the mechanics and stuff, but that make a big difference. Because again, like I've always said, it's always about like the devil's in the details. So I'm about to show you. So for example, I mean, like, how much do you remember in terms of, let's see, let's start this up. Oh, God damn it. Keep telling you, forget which computer I'm using. All right. All right, guys, let me start this up. Let me switch this camera here. And let's make sure the audio works. Yeah. All right. So let me know if the audio is a little louder, than my voice and stuff like that. We'll make sure it's all going well. So yeah, notice that marker up on the top, up on the right now. So the marker, that's the one I was talking about that wasn't working at Evo this weekend. So I fixed that, and now if you notice, oh yeah. So yeah, the third tier is actually there's a lot more to it now. But yeah, there's also, like, it's real subtle. If you look, when I get further out, you can see the background. I added a shader that basically creates like a blurred effect. It's just a camera effect that it gives it like a depth of field. And if you can see, I'm not sure how much of the quality you can see on the stream there, but there's a slight like lens. Notice up by the fire tower, there's like a slight kind of like a fingerprint type dirty camera lens thing. I just thought that was pretty cool. It's just a nice little touch, like for some visual flair. But yeah, if you notice, nothing's happening yet. So I changed this at Evo just because I felt like a lot of people were getting overwhelmed. Okay, awesome, thanks man. Bring that down a little. How's that? All right, so yeah, so now you can kind of fly around, just kind of get used to stuff. As a matter of fact, I think, no, yeah, it's still fine. So let's go ahead and start this up. This is new from PAX East, man. So now you actually have to go into Disastrous Core and activate it. Once it's activated, that's what causes everything to start up. So now the upgrades start to come in. You stay on this resource and you just start trying to kill some dudes. And again, for those of you who have played it, obviously you know that on the left-hand side you do not take damage. I want you to be aggressive, so I do want you to stay in front of the enemy, because when you bust out their shields, they're not as aggressive. You actually get to push them back. So that allows you to not let them pass you, because if the enemies pass you, like I said, they will spawn on the right-hand side, and they will cause some heavy damage. So you want to be careful with that. Also, another thing I changed, I tweaked it. I'm still not sure if I'm going to leave it or not. Every time you pick up material, that's what spawns the upgrades also. So they are being randomized, but at the same time, you are also, holy crap, yeah. At the same time, you can also speed up the process. So that was kind of my thing. When I started designing this game, I added, the speed was really quick because I wanted it to be fast. I wanted you to be able to just jump in and start up the game. You know, like, I hate wanting to just jump in and play something and you have to wait through this cutscene, or you have to wait for a loading screen or some kind of thing. You just want to jump in and start blowing some stuff up, you know? So this is kind of like a, I slowed down the pacing a bit so that people don't get overwhelmed, but at the same time, those people that do want it fast and know what to do, they can speed up the process super quick. So now I can, you know, grab all these upgrades. I know when they're coming. They're not just randomized. So also, this is a nice little tweak. When you're on a part, notice how long it takes to pick up. So it's going to take a little while. Right? And that's intentional, again, because what you want to do is you want to be killing enemies while you're doing that. But here's the thing. You can now get on the part and hold down A. Speeds up the process. That makes a huge difference for those people that, not necessarily a speed run. I actually had someone bring that up at Evo. If this was the type of game you could speed run, and I mean, yeah, I guess you could. I wouldn't necessarily say no. It's just not in the traditional sense of a speed run, if that makes sense. But yeah, so also with the material, so notice how it's still, material's still slightly faster, but when you go and you pick up, let me go find one. This is this is really hard to do when you're talking, so let me see. I'm trying to find, I'll show you guys. So yeah, the material was pretty pretty quick, but if you hold it down, notice right away. So I can be going straight to material right away and pick it all up. And on the left-hand side, I'm already, my weapons are already maxed out. Again, that might be a little too fast. I'm not sure. That will take having some people actually try it. But yeah, so notice on the right-hand side, this is totally new Armani for sure. If you notice, you have that button prompt that says hold. So what you can do now is you can actually activate your shields at will. So before they were activated automatically, which would cause people to get like overwhelmed with a bunch of enemies, and that's not a good thing if you're not expecting it. So now what you can do is hold it down, the music kicks in, and now you know your multiplier is activated on the left-hand side, and as long as you keep killing enemies, you'll keep chaining that, and the shields will stay active on the right-hand side. So by keeping your shields active, you can now boost, come on. I can't even hit him on purpose. So yeah, now you can boost through fireballs and all sorts of stuff, and you don't take damage when your shields are active. But if you notice, the multiplier actually counted down. I lost it, so now I can't continue anymore. I mean, I don't have my shield, so now every time you activate your shields, you're going to use 3 materials. So let's activate them again. And there we go. So now I got shields. I can boost through these guys, no damage. Start killing some enemies over here. So this might actually be a lot to take in for people who've never played this before. But over time, over these streams, you guys will start to get more familiar with the mechanics and stuff and what I'm trying to do. And I'll try and get some of my friends on too, so that they could be playing the game while I talk about it, because this is really hard to do. But I just kind of wanted to show you guys, you know, the basic progress of where I'm at right now, how far along the game is. So if you notice, this game over screen isn't final also. So this is kind of the stuff I want to finish. I want to start to focus on, because there's a lot of stuff missing. There's audio cues. There's a couple more things with animation that I need to do. For example, down here where it says fission mailed and it says you lost and it changes there, that 0 is supposed to be your your score, like what you left with, and it's not working right now, and that's a simple fix. I can just go in and fix it. Primarily, I've been focused on getting all this stuff, the Kickstarter and everything going. Let me see the chat here. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, so my boy Todd's in the chat. If you're still there, man, thank you. Yeah, that title screen is something I am pretty proud of. That's why I've been using it on pretty much everything, man. Business cards. One of the reward tiers, I mentioned this in the description, that one of the reward tiers I wanted to do was posters. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I want to do. I'll actually, watch, check this out. So let me go back to normal. All right. So one of the reward tiers was posters, and it was essentially just going to be the title screen with, you know, like Kickstarter edition kind of thing. Posters are fucking expensive. So that was for any of you guys who are possibly looking into doing a Kickstarter or anything like that, obviously, when you start to plan it out, right, you really have to start to plan out how much everything is going to cost. So primarily, over anything, you want to get your costs. You want to know what you want to spend on. Nice, yeah. Tiers and tiers, man. It's all about tiers. So yeah, basically you start with what you need. You start with what you need to either pay yourself, pay contract workers, obviously whatever that entails. Whatever you need should come first. After that, then it's essentially, you know, whatever you want to offer as reward tiers. So essentially what I did first was I basically, I did all of that together. And that's how I learned my lesson, is the budget was massive. If you guys think what I'm asking for now is a lot, you should have seen the original budget. And that was because you have to account for your rewards. So your physical rewards more than anything, because all the digital stuff, like the digital stuff is going to take you time, sure, but it's not going to cost you anything, if that makes sense. But yeah, so posters were, granted, I only shopped around to like 3 different options, but it was still, for about 600 posters, it was about like $10,000. And the reason why is because you're including shipping to each individual poster. So having those posters shipped to you is not a big deal, right? Because that, you know, that big box is just going to be like $50 to you. But once you get it, you need to actually ship it out to each individual person. So and you have to buy all of them. It's not like you can just buy 6, you know, however many that back to you, because you don't know how many you need until the the Kickstarter is over. So it gets really difficult. So you kind of have to overestimate, and that's where I got that much. Granted, yeah, it could have been a lot less, whatever, but that's essentially what I came down to. And just deciding to take the reward tiers out, or the physical rewards out, and basically that helped me cut down on the money I was asking for. And then if I reached that amount, then I could start including the physical stuff. So here's one of the things. I'll get to your questions real quick. One of the reward tiers was a coffee mug, because I love coffee mugs. Coffee mugs are awesome. So this, Cal, actually, my girlfriend, was doing some of this research stuff for me. She found these cool mugs that I like. They're, you know, I think they said 12 ounce. I don't remember. But they're really cool. They got the wrong color. I actually wanted red. But it's really simple, just a basic imprint. The name of the company is actually Roca, or what is it? 4 imprint, I guess. Roca ceramic mug, I guess, is the style. But yeah, we ordered a sample, and it's a cool coffee mug. So essentially, it would have just had the Ask an Enemy Studios logo. As a matter of fact, I was going to come up with asking you guys if you wanted the Ask an Enemy logo or the Dual Hand Disaster Tracker logo. It did have to be a single color, so that was the only thing. I can't do the ships and stuff like that, which is actually what I wanted to do. I have my mug outside that I should have brought in to show you guys, maybe at another stream. But anyway, that was one of the reward tiers. The other one, there's a reward tier on there if you guys haven't seen it, which is like a postcard. And that's those were relatively cheap, and to ship, again, those were relatively cheap also. But let's see. The coolest thing of all of them, and this is also just an example, it's not the full-on thing. I ordered a sample. This is the actual replica like model. Notice how small it is though, of the ship, the HRD on in the game. So this was one of also the most expensive reward tiers. This right here, this little piece, this little ship cost me $17, and this is from imaterialize.com. So for those of you who've seen the game before or talked to me at events, you guys know I use Cubicle to make the voxel ships, the voxel models in the game. So watch it. I'll just flip here because it's kind of cool. So yeah, that little tiny blue ship is this little thing, which is pretty rad. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, if you see it in person, like right here, it actually looks really, really cool. You can't see you can't see a lot of the imperfections. Yeah, I love it. I think it's awesome. But yeah, so this is really cool. It's kind of something, yeah, you can't really see the imperfections on the stream there. But anyway, it's cool, like the little detail of the wings and everything. See, it's stuff like that you don't really see in the game, and I'm gonna try and, that's kind of why I want to focus on the game full-time and stuff, is to do a little more work where you get to see more of the ships, more of the actual enemies and stuff like that, because that kind of stuff is pretty rad. Not like beat you over the head with nice, right? Yeah. Not beat you over the head with kind of like, there's probably a slight delay in the video there. But, oh, also, so yeah, like I said, this is really small. This is like keychain size maybe, but if you put this on a keychain, it'd probably get beat up pretty quickly. I don't have them. So my brother has a 3D printer, a 3D printing machine, and I actually wanted it to be more the size of like an Xbox controller, you know? And I mean, look at that for relative size. So imagine how much more it would be to make it that much bigger, right? And I've also wondered if the quality of it would get better if it were bigger, and I'm not sure. And this was one pass. So I materialized, like I mentioned, I use Cubicle to do all my voxel models. Cubicle lets you send the model itself directly to I materialize, and then they'll print it out for you. So yeah, but I wanted them to be bigger. The cost just gets more expensive, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So this is my favorite thing. If we were to get that high on the budget, which I'm not even worried about that right now, this would definitely be one of those things. Todd, I actually don't know. Oh no, you didn't go to GDC this year, because that's where I had, and PAX East. So Armani might know this, but at PAX East I actually had the 3D printed models that my brother made me from his like 3D printed machine or whatever. So that was kind of cool. Oh yeah, let me go back to you guys' questions here. So Armani asked, one big question that some of my friends and myself had was the Xbox One version of the game. Nice. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. So the reason the Xbox One version isn't on there is mostly because Microsoft complicates things a little more than I want to. I honestly don't know if I can explain exactly why I couldn't include it, but to keep it really simple, they overcomplicate things when it comes to giving away codes with pledges and stuff. So the Xbox One version is still, like, I'm still working on that. Like, I have my dev kits. I'm still on ID with Xbox. So all that stuff is there. The game is coming to Xbox One. As far as this Kickstarter, though, yeah, sorry, man. So if that's what's holding you back, it sucks. I know, I understand, but I just could not include Xbox One codes in this for the sake of simplicity and staying sane. Let's see. So yeah, you know, let your friends know that the game is still coming to Xbox One. I just can't include it in this Kickstarter. Okay, let's see. How do you? So Todd Little, my buddy Todd, asked, how do you keep motivated to keep working on the game and working on a full-time day job? Coffee. So this is really dumb. My girlfriend introduced me to butter coffee. So there's butter in here, and it's unsalted, like grass-fed butter or something. It's not some country crock shit that you just drop in your coffee. No, like this is like total legit butter that you just put in your coffee, and it's awesome, dude, because you know, sometimes you drink coffee and you get that feeling of just like lightheadedness, or you feel like absolute crap. Drinking this is actually really good. Like, you don't really even have to have a breakfast with it. It just kind of like keeps you like bright-eyed or whatever. But no, like in all seriousness, it's not the coffee. It's just, and for those of you who've heard me say this a million times, you just have to give an absolute fuck about what you want to do, and you have to see it through to completion. So this is actually really cool. If I'm not mistaken, it was yesterday or a couple days ago. I rarely use LinkedIn. LinkedIn, someone basically just posted something. LinkedIn, I tend to just accept anybody who sends me a request because it's, you know, it's a networking thing. You kind of want to stay connected to people you've met over GDC and stuff like that. So, you know, some of these people that post, I don't necessarily remember them 100% because I'm not as active with them or whatever. But she posted. Watch, I'll actually bring it up because I actually thought it was really interesting. And it has to do a lot with your question there, Todd. So let me see here. Oh, fuck. Let me log in. Okay. So yeah, I really want to bring this up because I think it's super relevant to what you just asked. Let me see if I can find it here. Notifications. Yeah, LinkedIn sucks, by the way. Like, I'm not, yeah, I could really care less about this service. It's really weird. So anyway, she posted this. She posted, fellow game developers, what advice would you offer to a first-time developer whose project is scoped out, but when push comes to shove, self-financing is difficult? Custom art is too expensive, but self-financing means using cheaper assets, and publishers want to see my game when it's had its art redone. She put that in quotations, or quote unquote, is playable with a reworked visual style. She continues and says, it's a catch-22. I have a vision and the skill to make my game, but without proper funding for the art staff, I'm never going to get my project to the level of polish. And here's the key. To the level of polish and professionalism publishers want before dealing with you. So this is one of those things I'm always telling everyone at the panels I do at PAX is fuck the publisher. You are the publisher now. There's no reason for you to have to deal with a publisher. So here's the thing though. You have to be willing to accept that decision, right? Don't get me wrong, there are reasons for going with a publisher, there are reasons to find publishers, whatever. You know, I tried it also, and that's kind of the idea, is you start to realize that they obviously have their best intentions or whatever, and that's kind of the thing, is you should make the game you want to make, as dumb and cliche as that sounds, especially for how she mentioned she was a first-time game developer. You shouldn't, I think that, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, I don't want to say that this is probably what she's going for, but over just meeting a lot of people, it's through experience that they kind of do that, is just because you're making a game, you think that this should be the main one that you should do and everyone should care about it and blah, blah, blah. That stuff will happen if that happens to be the case. And that doesn't mean don't put yourself out there, don't not submit to events and stuff like that. Like, do that. But don't let other people tell you how to make your game, because obviously you're a first-time game developer. Learn from what they tell you, but don't worry so much about what other people say. So my dumbass, the way I am, I basically replied with, I think the key there is exactly what you pointed out. To the level of polish, the professionalism, whatever. Have you thought about avoiding publishers altogether and self-publishing? And that will immediately remove the way that what they want, which should be irrelevant to your vision. And you know, forgive me if I'm rambling here, but that's kind of what, you know, I've been trying to get to this whole time. So yeah, again, even with a full-time day job, like, yeah, it sucks, but you just got to keep going, man. You got to keep, you know, I need to work 50 million times as hard as someone who has been in the industry for a long time, who does know what they're doing. So that's why I tend to work that much harder. Let's see here. Todd, so are you thinking about making it a Switch game? I'll just say I would love to. We can talk about that later. Oh yeah, Armani, no pressure, man. Like, I 100% understand, dude. That sucks that, you know, the what is it called? The Xbox One version is not there, but let's see here. But by all means, yeah, if you'd like to, I'd greatly appreciate it, and we'll figure something out, buddy, for sure. But yeah, in the meantime, the Xbox One version for this Kickstarter is just not going to be there. Let's see. Oh, so Todd, just because you mentioned the Switch version, one of the things I'm actually curious about the Switch, and I won't know until I actually start messing with stuff like that, but is I know and this is something you're always pointing out, is the idea of the game being, you know, I should make a co-op version or whatever, which I'm always against, but that's never going to stop anyone from playing the game. I could do whatever I want. I could even, what is it called? You know, use the Kinect or the PlayStation camera to detect people and see. I could probably find out a way to detect if 2 people are using one controller. But, you know, all you would have to do is disconnect the camera. And as a matter of fact, on Xbox One, if I remember correctly, if it hasn't even been done yet, Microsoft actually is going to let people, again, if it's not already there, is going to let people split one controller into 2. So again, why put the extra work into trying to punish the people that play co-op? And again, that's my side, right? Punish people, where to you, you're like, no, let them do it. Which it makes sense. I understand your point, dude, 100%. I understand it's the idea of getting people comfortable with the controls and mechanics or whatever. But yeah, it's like, why put the work into it if someone's going to bypass it some way anyway? So yeah, back to the Switch idea is, again, with the Switch, you just put the Switch down, take the controllers out, and now you could just hand one to the other person, and you could do that also. So here's the thing though, is on Switch, each controller has a gyroscope, if I'm not mistaken. So like you should be able to detect if they're out of sync with each other. So like say someone's over here and they're kind of just chilling like this, the other person's down with their hand this way, you'll be able to tell, and I could actually just self-destruct the ships that way, which would be awesome. I think that would be really cool. Yeah, what is up? So there's some people on there just saying hello in multiple language, which is pretty cool. Motion controlled ships on the Switch. No, so not motion controlled. Screw that. Not motion controlled. What I want to do is basically, I just wanted to detect, you know, who was, if the controllers were out of sync, just to maybe figure out a way to mess with someone somehow by doing that. Outside of that, yeah, that was basically it. I mean, at Evo, there were these 2 kids, and I've posted a picture on my Facebook, and my Facebook is public, so if any of you guys are out there and you know, you want to go check it out, it's there. There was a picture of these 2 kids that were playing the game, and they played the game non-fucking stop all weekend. It was crazy. So basically what happened was they were playing the game, and then their mom came over and was like, hey, you know, we're sorry they're here for so long. You don't mind babysitting them or whatever? And I was like, no, are you kidding? Like, they're actually helping me, like, find bugs and stuff by just watching them play. Like, they're not even telling me things, but just by watching them play, I'm learning a lot about, you know, fixing things or making something a little easier, a little harder, or whatever. But so one of the things was, they actually like taught their mom how to play the game. They're like, check it out, mom, like this is so cool. And so like, yeah, they got her in and they did the split co-op controller thing, which was pretty awesome. So again, Todd, I totally understand, dude, like that. I know what you're getting at with that. And I'm not going to go out of my way to design anything around that, because people are going to do it regardless. And so here's the thing though, those 2 kids, they were individually playing it, so they would all switch off, right? One player would play, the other player would play, and then they would team up again. They didn't do any better together, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like that might sound like, oh well, then the game is really hard or whatever. But it's not that. It's more the idea that they were teaching each other by playing together, and then they would go and do their own thing and be like, oh, okay, so yeah, this is so. Again, I totally understand your point of view, man. Like, and it makes sense. So yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, for those of you people who have joined the stream, if you guys want to see more of the game, let me know. I could talk forever. So if you guys have questions, for those of you who don't know, who are probably watching on Periscope, whatever the case, or maybe just happen to walk in on this Kickstarter, this is for a Dual Hand Disaster Tracker. It is a split-screen, single-player, twin-stick risk 'em up that will be on PS4, Xbox One, and Steam. And yeah, I'm trying. Oh, okay. So let's get to the primary goal of what this Kickstarter is for. First and foremost, I've had a question from a lot of people. All right, so Tyler mentioned in the Kickstarter comments, funny story, I tuned in around the time I think I heard you explaining my cheese mechanic. Oh man, we could get into that. I actually didn't go too much into that because I kind of want to show that with the game so you guys kind of make that connection. Anyway, the primary goal of this Kickstarter is to quit the daytime job and focus on the game 100% for this final push. So it's not even... So the thing is, I've had friends ask, why did you go with Kickstarter and not Indiegogo? So the big reason there, first and foremost, is I don't want your guys' money just to get your money. I want to, first and foremost, I want to earn it. So I want to put in the same amount of work I've put into the game to earn the amount of money that I need. Again, it goes back to what I need. I need to quit my job to have the time to finish this game as soon as possible and with the most focus on it that I can. Here's the thing. If the Kickstarter fails, then you guys don't lose out on any money. Well, lose out is probably a strong word, but you guys don't have to give any money. I go back to doing the things that I was doing before. Whether this Kickstarter fails or not is not, well, if the Kickstarter fails, it's not going to affect whether the game gets released or not. That's going to happen regardless. The reason I started this Kickstarter was to make sure I could get through the finish line, to see if it's possible to get through the finish line by quitting the day job. Sure, it'd be nice. I've always said, you know, take responsibility for your actions. And just like Todd mentioned earlier, you know, being motivated with the day job is really hard. I'm losing my hair because of it. But yeah, it's not easy, guys. But if you just want to see something done, you have to push through as much as you possibly can. I dropped out of school to do this because it was a complete waste of time. The way the structure was at school was terrible. It was boring. Yeah, it was terrible. So yeah, let me go back into some of the game here, unless you guys have any more questions, but chugging cold coffee is always good. So basically what I have left on the game, the reason it's also called the 10%, the final 10%, is because the game design, again, for the absolute most part, is completely done. There are little tweaks I keep doing here and there, but it's not like a feature creep thing where I'm adding stuff. It's more finalizing the elements that I've had in there and stuff like that. And then, again, some UI stuff, which a lot of the UI stuff, and I paid kind of pretty hardcore for this by announcing the game on the PlayStation blog maybe a little sooner than I should have. But at the time, I honestly did think, you know, I was going to release at the end of 2016, which obviously didn't happen. So I've had this thing happen to me where it happens to a lot of people where they release a game with like early art or early UI design stuff, where now when I'm releasing stuff for like you know, interviews or whatever, you know, you type in a dual hand disaster tracker and the first thing that comes up is like old school art or whatever. So yeah, just something, again, if you guys are out there trying to make games, kind of maybe learn from that. Like, you know, do whatever you want, but know that that actually does happen, where they will pull like old art from your game or whatever. And it kind of sucks, but whatever. Like, you have to be willing to accept that and stuff like that, which I kind of do. Yeah, let's see here. Let's see if I could get to tier 3, and let's see if the game didn't get all slow. One quick thing. Are those legit floodlights in the back, man? Oh yeah. So those floodlights are what I use for doing streams and stuff when it gets really dark. Actually, for the Kickstarter video that's on the page, I used it to light up the room, to kind of fill up the room so my face wasn't super dark and all shadowy and mysterious. So yeah, for those of you who've played it, this is new. You actually have to activate the Disastrous Core now. Again, there's some UI stuff, just for the hell of it. There's some UI stuff. If I die, it doesn't matter. I'm just kind of trying to show you guys some stuff. So yeah, this green thing here, I'll show you. If you stay in here for too long, so there's a couple things that happen. Notice those fireballs. See how they're coming in? They actually, it's kind of like a safe space. So I'm not worried about taking damage. Here's the thing though. Let's see if this happens. Notice what's going on? So if you take too long in there, sure, it's a safe space, but yeah, the walls will come in and cave in on you. So yeah, let's restart here. What else? Oh, okay, yeah, so that's kind of the thing, right? So this marker is supposed to lead you down to the center. So once you're in here, it's missing the UI that is circling around, letting you know it's filling up. And then once this is filled up, it's gonna have a UI thing that will start to show you how long you're in there. And there's something that is also gonna do that you can take advantage of. It's gonna be not a game changer, but it will be something that will be pretty rad. All right, so let's go out here for some parts, material. Tyler, you might have missed this. When you're on a resource, notice how the parts take a while, right? And when you're waiting for it, obviously you're supposed to wait on the resource so that you can kill an enemy at the same time, multiply the points. But there are times where you just want to go over it and pick it up that quickly. So I added the ability to do that. So now when you're on a resource, let me see, find another part. Parts are more obvious because they're the ones that take longer to pick up. So when you're on a resource, you can hold the A button, it picks it up a lot quicker. So the risk there is you have to take your finger off the stick. Yeah. So Tyler here was talking about a cheese mechanic that he figured out at PAX East. And this was also because it's something I kind of overlooked. And again, this is why I always talk about learning. The frame rate's actually, good question there, Todd. The frame rate's actually running at 60 frames a second. It might not be on the stream. That might be for a variety of reasons, and I'll work on that for later. Again, the CPU on the PC that's doing the streaming is an AMD 8-core processor, but it's not very beefy. So that's probably what's causing some of that chunking up there. But yeah, it's actually pretty silky smooth. On console, though, it does suffer a little bit. So yeah, the left-hand side now has shields that you have to destroy before you can kill them. That was to deal with a thing that Tyler here dealt with at PAX East. So what he would do is he would power up his repeater first and foremost, and then he didn't even have to deal with these guys here that I'm shooting. Because if you shoot these guys, you actually lose points for that. So he would get it to a level where those guys wouldn't show up, and you would have this high rate of fire, so you could basically go around just spraying these guys, activate your shields, and yeah, your score bonus would just be ridiculous. No, so good question, Todd. Man, you are on fire today, man. That is another reason for the Kickstarter is to, you know, there is that reward tier that is the battle tested for beta testing. Obviously on consoles, I don't have to do as much beta testing because it's a closed platform. So what I would get on my machine theoretically is going to be the same thing most people would get on their PS4s and stuff also. But yeah, so going back to that is the frame rate on PS4 and Xbox One is actually when stuff kicks in. For example, let me start this up here because this is what causes the frame rate to drop a little on consoles anyway. On PC, it's at least on a 1080 for obvious reasons, right? On a 1080 is silky smooth. Let's start that up again. So yeah, on a 1080, this is silky smooth, and you'll see like once way more chaos comes in, that's when more fireballs are spawning, so it's hitting the CPU a little harder. Yeah, you're spawning a lot more particles, you're blowing stuff like this up, you're doing a lot more calculations under the hood. So on PC, yeah, this frame on a console, this frame rate drops a little. But for the most part, on PC, like right now, that's what I'm saying. On my machine, it's silky smooth. On the stream, it might not be. I'll work on that because I want you guys to get the best quality on the stream as possible. So yeah, this is kind of where I want people to be playing the game at. Like, you can play it at whatever pace you want, but this is kind of the idea. This is where ADHD really stands out. The acronym is really paying attention to, you know, everything you're shooting, everything you're picking up, all the material. Waste your shields. Yeah, this is really hard to do while you're talking, but yeah, if it's freezing up a bit there, I apologize. I might just drop the stream down to 720p instead of 1080p. My internet connection can handle it, but my CPU on this PC won't, which is sad. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys, for this update.
Material loss.
I'm gonna get some work done on it over the week, and let's see, what were the... I have it written down because while I was at Evo, I had a bunch of changes and stuff that I have written down. A lot of them are gonna be a lot of UI kind of stuff. I still need to do sound design and music, like get that finalized, but again, all that kind of stuff is gonna be towards the end, so that's not gonna be too big a deal. Regard indeed. I'm just following up on chat. Yeah. Cool. Switch back here. All right. Guess the audio kicks off there, huh? Okay. Yeah, so I really appreciate you guys stopping by. I can't think of anything else to update you guys on so far, but, you know, I'm almost up to $2,000. The total amount is $45. I know, that's a lot. That's my problem. That's not your guys's. All you guys need to do, like I say in the video, is make a decision. If you think this is something you want to back, you know, thank you very much. And for those of you guys who have backed it so far, I greatly appreciate it. I'll try to make the next updates. Honestly, it's all you guys. If you guys want longer updates, if you guys want shorter streams, that's cool. A lot more focused on game design on the game. I'll try to promote them a little more in advance later. Because I do want you guys to like have some questions, and you know, I want to go over the design with you guys and kind of break it down, let you guys know what's going down. But I want to stay active too, because funding a Kickstarter is not easy, especially when you give yourself such a, you know, big goal like this. But yeah, I'm gonna try my damnedest, and I've got a couple of events coming up. So if any of you guys are going to be in Washington, D.C., let me get those dates right so I can look them up. For Sam Arcade, which is at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. Let's see. Sam Arcade is in August. It is August 5th and 6th, and it is a free event. I want to say they're expecting about 10,000 people. Might be wrong. But I'm super honored to be part of this. The Sam Arcade's pretty cool. Never been to Washington, D.C. Never been to the Smithsonian, and I heard it's really cool, so looking forward to that. Let me just make sure I didn't miss out on any questions. I see some notes here. Okay. Oh, this random ass thing I just noticed. For Evo, I had, for participating in Evo through the mix, you get free tickets to the finals. I had my free ticket, which I heard was about $100. I didn't have to pay for it. It was gifted to me through the mix. Put it in my... Oh, thanks, man. I love you too. So yeah, I put it in my back pocket. And as I was walking to the event, I got right to the door where you're supposed to give your ticket, reached in my back pocket, and it wasn't there. And I was like, what the hell? So I retraced my footsteps, walked all the way back, like looking at every inch of the floor, looking like a fucking crazy. And this is in Vegas, walking through casinos, just walking. I walked, my walk from the Luxor to the Mandalay Bay was about, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes or so. And so I walked almost 3/4 of the way back, and I found the ticket on the floor. I'll just show you guys. This is dumb as hell, but I'll show you guys the picture real quick. Let me also shut this down while I'm at it. Close this. So yeah, again, it's up to you guys how you want the updates later, but I'm just kind of, this is the first update, so I'm really honestly testing the connection to the, I'm sure that happens a lot there. Yeah, totally. I'm sure it happens a lot. I'm honestly trying to test the connection to Kickstarter, make sure. So Kickstarter Live, for the most part, doesn't let you use XSplit. They kind of just have a setup to where they use a camera, like your webcam and setup. And I wanted to show the game, so that was a big thing of mine. I wanted to show the game. I wanted to show the progress. Since I didn't design the game like most people would, where they have, you know, artwork and like, what's that called? God, I'm freezing on the term, where you have concept art. So yeah, like, you know, you have your artist kind of like do like cool shit, and then you have the digital people like turn it into like, you know, digital goodness or whatever. I don't have that. All my stuff is all on the computer, so I wanted to show a lot of that stuff. And they granted me early access, like beta access to their RTMP stuff or whatever. So Scott or PJ, whoever is in the chat from, Idiot Machine. So yeah, I think that's Scott. My buddy Scott runs Slightly Original, which is a channel you should check out on Twitch. I want to team up with them, so we're probably going to do something here soon. And if at all possible, I'm going to try and do it through here on Kickstarter also. I'm sure they could find a way to push it. But so yeah, I got early access to that, which lets me use XSplit, which is a lot easier to kind of, you know, change scenes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I was pulling up this picture. I apologize. This is dumb as hell. I don't even know why I'm doing this, but let's see. Anyway, well, I was dumb. Having to look through all these pictures to find it is going to be a pain in the ass, so whatever. I basically just lost a ticket and had to go find it, and luckily I did. Also get with me about XSplit and DMs. Okay, cool. Oh, nice. All right, yeah, sounds good, man. I'm down with that. Let's see. Thought I saw another question here. I love the live stream way of updating. It's a solid way for you, the creator, to talk against the question in seconds. Yeah, totally. Well, thanks, Armani. Yeah, I'm also, that's the purpose. That's another reason why I went with Kickstarter instead of Indiegogo. Obviously, for the reasons I stated earlier, because I don't want your money unless I earned it, and it's all or nothing. There's no reason for me to do an Indiegogo where basically, you know, you could say I failed in that sense, where if I only get $2,000, like I'm taking your guys' money, but nothing changed. I didn't get to quit my job. The purpose of the Kickstarter is to quit my job and focus 100% on the game. I'm not doing this to get your guys' money. I'm not doing it for any other reason but quitting the job, focusing on the game, and getting the game to you guys as soon as possible, as best as possible. That's the primary goal. Yeah. And Kickstarter, if I fail, I don't get your guys' money. You guys don't lose out on money. That's it. So, damn the man, save the empire. Yeah. So I appreciate it. Unless you guys have any other questions, I mean, I could go on forever. I do have a package that arrived for me today. That's a secret. I can't reveal it yet. And I'm gonna try to work my ass off to see if I can pull this off, and if I can, I think it'd be really cool for the Kickstarter. But yeah, I mean, this is up to you guys. The decision is yours. Armani, again, sorry about the Xbox One. If I'm not mistaken, my buddy Cecil is also interested in Xbox One version. My buddy Barry wanted an Xbox One version. Much like you, they also said, hey, we'll back you anyway, man, which, again, I greatly, greatly appreciate that. You do not have to, but yeah, we might be able to work something out. But yeah, Microsoft just complicates things. That will be in the frequently asked questions, because I do get that a lot. Let's see, we got you, man. Anything you need. Awesome. So yeah, I'll team up with Slightly Original, and we'll see if we can do something here. Losing my hair from working on this damn thing. Yeah, unless you guys have any other questions, I guess we'll call it here, and I'll post an update. Also, the updates that I post on the Kickstarter, I think go out to everybody. Well, let me make sure. Oh, sorry, Tyler. If you're still there, dude, I missed your question. Is the Vita launch still out of the picture for the moment? So, yeah, here's the thing. I have my dev kit. For those of you that aren't familiar with the way I designed the game, the Vita version was what I started on. So originally the game was designed in Game Maker, so if you could imagine, it was a fairly simple concept in terms, well, project in terms of art style and, you know, resources and stuff. So it wasn't very graphic intensive or whatever. So on the Vita, it actually ran really well. Well, outside of the fact that Sony didn't support Game Maker at the time, so I had to move over to Unity. And again, when I first started the project, it was in Unity, and it ran fine on the Vita. But once I got my PS4 dev kits, I got carried away with using shaders and particles and all sorts of other stuff, where now I'm surprised it even runs on the PS4. So yeah, for the time being, the Vita version is still... So here's the thing though, right, is if this Kickstarter gets funded, I have way more time to focus on this kind of stuff, to make sure that I could get it working on a console like this. And the budget, how I talked about allocating a budget for people that, for contract work and stuff, that's what that's for. It's to get people. I've met people over the years. Guys, I didn't start working on this overnight and all of a sudden start a Kickstarter. Obviously, you guys who know me know this, but I'm saying for the people who happen to be watching who have no idea what this Kickstarter is about, I didn't start this Kickstarter just to get as a money grab. I've been working on this for 2.5 years. I have dev kits. I'm working on this, and I want to make sure it works on as many, you know, platforms as possible. That's what the Kickstarter is for, is to quit the job, make sure it works on this. Sorry, dude. Long story, but you know me, I talk forever about stuff. So yeah, Vita is kind of out for now. Let's see. There's some new messages. Got to catch up here. Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm close to about $2,000 from a $45,000 goal, but you know, I wanted to do these streams, these updates daily. I don't know how feasible that is, just because I also need to get the work done on the game to show the progress through the Kickstarter, and I honestly wanted to do a stream where I work on the game on the stream, but that's really boring. you know, like I want to show more of the game itself and talk to you guys and stuff. Like I have no issue pulling it up and then, you know, we could go over some stuff. Like, so here's the thing is if you guys have questions about anything like, you know, how did you get the lighting to work, or how did you, how did the physics work? Like, how did these two ships bounce up and down and stuff like that? I have no problem with like pulling the project up and showing you guys that code and showing you guys how all of that stuff connects. But that's also more of something I want to do later. Like if the Kickstarter is funded, I could spend more time doing that, right? So like right now, for example, I'm not getting any work done on the game. I could have spent the last hour or so working on the game, but honestly, like an hour or so is not that big a deal. Like that's easy. I can recover from that super quick. It's the longer streams, and then again, it is a lot of me. Like it's hard for me to pay attention, and I also don't want you guys to get bored just sitting there looking at me staring at the screen for like 5 minutes while I'm typing stuff out. I'd rather work on stuff than show you the progress. And then you could also even ask me questions at that point. But seriously, Armani, like, thank you, man. That means a lot. People love that stuff. Yeah, thanks, Scott. Yeah, I mean, I do. I personally do. I like sitting there and watching. I mean, that's how I learned. I basically watched people work on their games or whatever the case is, you know? So yeah, that's definitely my thing, but a lot of the work, a lot of like the code and stuff like that is also code that's been written by like friends of mine. So my buddy who works at Galvanic Games created this event system that works with Unity's event system. I don't know if it's actually I mean, I know he wrote it himself. He created this asset that essentially let me do the what do you call it? The quick restart system, because again, I wanted to have the game just be quick, start up right away, and none of this loading scenes, none of that kind of stuff. So once we got that event system working, that was awesome. And I had no entitlement to that. Like there was no reason for him to have spent that much time helping me with that. But I appreciate it so much. And you know, people like that need to get paid for the time they're working on that kind of stuff. So Armani says maybe a weekly update live stream so you can still work on the game and only lose an hour or two a week talking to us, showing the game new and what's been tweaked. Yeah. So that is cool. And again, since I do have that event coming up, so the schedule, let me see. I've got what, maybe 3 more weeks left on this thing. Yeah. So yeah, the next event is Sam Arcade in Washington. I also like doing live streams directly from the event, so that's kind of cool. One of the reasons I did decide to start it within the time of doing Evo and Sam Arcade is I just feel that like when I'm there talking to you guys, talking to people that I'm meeting at these events, that's where I'm at in my element, you know, like I can talk to you guys forever and really instruct is the wrong word, but show you guys the game. You know, like I can understand how someone could probably just see the game and it's just like, maybe it doesn't get them right away. And I kind of saw that at Evo this weekend where people will kind of just stand by and look at the game and they're interested, right? Like, and they'll say this, they'll say like, oh yeah, the graphics look really cool, man. This is really nice. Like something about the visuals grab them, right? Which is awesome. But then I kind of just gauge them, and if I see that they look interested enough, that's when I'll kind of like pull them in and be like, give it a shot, man. Like try this out. This is what you're doing, and that'll pull them in. But I also like don't want to pull people in that are just kind of walking by and just kind of look over, because I want people to play the game that want to play the game. I don't want to just, I'm not a marketing guy. I don't want to like, you know, hey, you know, you want to come try this game? That's just not me. That's not how I work. You eat with your eyes. Yeah, totally. Absolutely. So let me go back to see what you guys said. Yeah, maybe a weekly event. Yeah, so streaming from events is actually super rad. So It's also always dependent on the event itself. So this weekend I did stream some from Evo directly, and it was okay. It wasn't super stable, but I was able to capture some reactions to some people. I added some GIFs to the Kickstarter page, so that was pretty rad. Let me see. People's reactions are always super cool to see, especially when they die. Trying to program people to know that they have to leave with their score is actually the hardest thing to do. But I mean, that's the thing, is like when it clicks with them, it clicks, you know? I understand the game is hard. I understand it's challenging. Let me see. Oh, well, I actually... I want to talk about something on the stream. I just can't yet. Yeah, so that is actually the thing. Scott is like, so Scott just mentioned in the chat here, and it said, haha, I never leave, I can't. So, yeah, it's really hard because I designed the game in that way so that you have to decide when to leave. You know, I'd be the first to admit that, like, a lot of these games, like even Nex Machina, like that's the latest kind of most modern twin stick shooter I've been playing lately, where you know, you're like, it's beautiful, like the pulling out of the camera, you know, the particle effects, the voxel art, like all that kind of stuff is amazing, but it still gets to that. There's a mechanic in there that, let me see, that just, I don't know, it's like some of it gets flat really quick because you're just going for the score and you die and there's like no risk involved, you know? And that's kind of what I'm trying to push with this game, is like you just keep going and there's no, yeah, like, I don't know, something about it. Like I love Housemarque, I love Resogun, but there's just something about those games that gets to me, about the score and not leaving and stuff like that. Tormentor Cross Punisher, same thing. Like that came out, Raw Fury just published that not too long ago. I played that. It's fun. It's really, really cool. Hell, let me see. You guys want to see some of that real quick? I can start it up real quick. I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. My day is spent today anyways, so it's not, I'm not missing out on too much. But I could pull up these two games real quick here. Let's see, let me log in. Pull up the thing here. Okay. Oh, god damn it. Forget which mouse controls which one. So, let's see. Have you guys played Tormentor Cross Punisher at all? It's a Raw Fury game. Let me pull this up here. I just want to kind of show how, like, these games are fun. I love them. Oh, and then there's a game called Thoth, which is Thoth. Yeah, I love these games, but let's go ahead and jump in here. And again, let me know in the chat. Okay, so this is Tormentor Cross Punisher, Scott, if you haven't played this. Let me know in the chat if the audio on the game is too loud and that kind of stuff. Yeah, this is a very simple, basic, well, you know, not to sound negative or whatever, but making sure this is, okay, sounds good, awesome. So yeah, this is Tormentor Cross Punisher, this is Raw Fury. And it's essentially, it's a twin stick shooter in the most basic sense. But yeah, see something like this, like, no offense to Raw Fury, no offense to the developers of Tormentor, but this is cool and all. What's it have to do with the game, right? So, let me make sure. Didn't detect the controller. Give me a sec. Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys. So yeah, this is the most, and again, not in a bad way, but the most basic of twin stick shooters. So the cool thing with this game is you basically have two weapons. You just have your regular weapon. When you're out of bullets, you basically reload by shooting a shotgun. So it's super rad. It's basic as hell, but fun as all fuck. So yeah, you can also do this thing called a wally, which is shooting the shotgun off of the wall, and that's a way to get some bonus points. And yeah, it's the screen shake on this game is fucking intense, dude. Also, the last bullet you shoot is like a fucking missile. There's a whole bunch of hidden stuff that I haven't figured out yet in terms of like gameplay mechanics. So there's this thing also where you kind of run over these, you know, I'm assuming they're pentagons. Is that what, or pentagrams, right? Is that what it is? And again, I apologize for the frame rate if it's a little choppy. Next time I'll do this stream at 720p. But yeah, see, so here's the thing. So I died. What's my score? 16,000, right? Okay, so I don't know. I might have saved my score from last time. So yeah, 16,000. That is weird. I thought I had a higher score on the leaderboards. So anyway, 16,000. Now I basically just have to go and try to get, you know, higher than that. There's no risk involved in me playing again. So, you know, if I die right now, no consequence. The only consequence is that I died. Does that make sense? Again, nothing wrong with that. But as I mentioned in the video, the Kickstarter project video, you know, instead of telling Raw Fury or the guys who made this game, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know the developer of Tormentor. I just kind of know the publisher, obviously. You know, instead of telling these guys, oh, you should do this with your game, you should do this, I just decided, nope, this is the mechanic I want in my game. I'm gonna make this game, you know, and that's what I've been working on. So yeah, this is Tormentor Cross Punisher. Again, you could play these games forever, right? It's just going in this loop of blowing stuff up and killing some enemies. So yeah, let's go ahead and get out of here. Let's quit this. And now I will show you guys Nex Machina. So Nex Machina is obviously Housemarque. Housemarque does some really cool shit. Most recently, before this, I want to say they did Resogun, but I might be wrong. I know they did Dead Nation also. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Dead Nation and Alien Nation. Alien Nation, I think, is their latest game. All right, awesome, Scott. Thank you very much for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. So yeah, I'll just play a little bit of Ex Machina just real quick to show you guys this. So the neat thing is it jumps you right in, doesn't even mess around. Yeah, see, beautiful ass graphics, nice, you know, cutaways and stuff. But so I died. I have another life. It's very bullet helly. Super cool game. Honestly, I wish there was a little more rumble in the control for all of this explosions, but I mean, yeah, there's so much going on that, yeah, that might be overkill. But yeah, this is Nex Machina. It's, you know, twin stick shooter again, and I love these games, but it's not what I was looking for. Or it falls flat kind of quick. But anyway. Yeah, if you guys have no more questions, I'll just call it quits, and I will update you guys. Let's see, what's today? Tuesday. I'll be back on Friday or maybe Saturday. The weekends is when I get most of my work done. So honestly, maybe I'll come back on Monday, because if Sunday is the day I get my work done, I can show you guys, you know, what I've done or whatever. Let me go back here. I always forget which mouse. Go back. Yeah. If anything, I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate you guys hanging out. If you have any questions, feel free to either message me through the Kickstarter page. You can go to askanenemystudios.com and send me a message through there. You could go to Ask an Enemy Studios. I think that's Jeremy. What is up, my man? Yeah, so send me a message at askanenemystudios.com. Ask JC at askanenemystudios.com if you guys feel like this is a Kickstarter you want to support. Obviously, for those of you who don't know who I am or whatever, you know, feel free to send me a message, man. I'm always up to talk about, you know, the tiers, the rewards, the pledges, the platforms it's going to be on. Someone asked about Steam. Steam itself, like SteamOS and Linux, nothing's keeping me from doing that, but that's what this Kickstarter is for. Like, maybe I could even have people test the game who have SteamOS or Linux machines and make that an additional platform. Nothing's stopping me from releasing on SteamOS outside of the work needed to make sure it runs on those systems. I don't have a system to test it on. So I would appreciate your guys' help on that stuff. Let's see. Just catching up on chat. Make sure I didn't miss anything. All right. Well, once again, guys, thank you so much for sticking around. I will do the stream next time at 720p, and that way you get a better frame rate. This is probably a long one, so if you guys wanted to go back and watch it, the archive should be up on Kickstarter and Twitch and YouTube. Just go to Ask an Enemy Studios. I'll wait a little bit just for the chat to catch up. Do you guys have any other questions? Close this out here in the meantime. I will post an update to the site. I'll post some frequently asked questions for any of you guys that might have missed some of the questions that were here that were important. All right, well, outside of that, guys, thank you very, very much, and I'll see you guys again soon.